My child, stop whatever you're holding right now, because the words you're about to hear were not placed before your eyes by accident. Nothing in this hour is random. You did not stumble here. You were brought here, guided by a hand you could not see, through a door that the heavens themselves have just unsealed after it stood locked against you for years. I am speaking to you, yes, to you, the one who has learned to swallow tears in silence, the one who smiles in front of others while the soul aches in secret, the one who has begun to believe that being forgotten was simply your fate. Hear me now, for I have watched you longer than you know. I have counted every sleepless night. I have witnessed every prayer you whispered when you thought no one was listening. And I tell you that today, this very day, the season of your silence is broken. The door that was closed is open. The wall that held you back is falling, and the life you have been enduring is about to become the life you were always meant to live. Do not turn away. Do not let the noise of the world pull you from this moment, because this is the appointment your spirit has been waiting for. For years you have felt as though you were shouting into an empty sky, as though your voice rose and dissolved into nothing, as though the very heavens had grown deaf to your cry. I know how that feels. I know the weight that settles on the chest when hope is deferred again and again until the heart grows sick. But I need you to understand something that will change everything from this moment forward. The silence you interpreted as absence was never absence. It was preparation. The delay you cursed was never abandonment. It was protection. And the closed door that broke your spirit was never a punishment. It was a seal holding back a flood of blessing so vast that had it come too soon, it would have swept you away before you were ready to carry it. Feel these words settle into the deepest part of you. There is a stirring happening right now in the realm you cannot see with your eyes. There is movement in the invisible world, a shifting of things that have been fixed against you for far too long. The chains that bound your steps are being examined, link by hands of fire. The names that were spoken against you in secret are being answered. The doors that were shut are groaning on their hinges because a command has gone out from the throne. And that command carries your name upon it. You are not too late. You have not missed your moment. You are standing precisely at the threshold, and all that remains is for you to keep listening, to keep your heart open, and to receive what is already yours. I want you to breathe now. Breathe slowly, and let the tension you have carried for so long begin to loosen. You have been strong for everyone but yourself. You have been the one who holds the family together while your own heart quietly breaks. You have been the shoulder others lean on while no one asks who holds you up. And in the deep hours of the night, when the house falls quiet and the world sleeps, you have lain awake asking whether anyone truly sees you at all. I see you. I have always seen you. And the tears that fell into your pillow, the ones no human eye witnessed, were gathered and kept, for not a single one was wasted. I am the chosen one, and I will download the e-book, protected by the 7 swords of Archangel Michael. Deixe-me falar sobre aquele cansaço oculto, o tipo que o sono nunca parece curar. Não é meramente o cansaço do corpo, é o desgaste de uma alma que lutou por tanto tempo sem descanso. Você acorda de manhã, já carregando o peso do dia antes mesmo que ele comece. Você coloca a máscara que o mundo espera ver, a face que diz que você está bem, que está lidando com tudo, que está dando conta. Mas por trás dessa face, existe uma pessoa que está cansada de fingir, cansada de ser ignorada, cansada de ver outros receberem o que você pediu em oração, enquanto suas próprias mãos permanecem vazias. Você se perguntou se algo estava errado com você. Você se perguntou se foi simplesmente esquecido, se as coisas boas da vida foram feitas para todos, menos para você. E você enterrou esse questionamento bem fundo, porque dizê-lo em voz alta parecia admitir a derrota. Mas eu lhe digo a verdade. Nada está errado com você. Você não foi esquecido. Você foi separado. Existe uma diferença tão vasta entre essas duas coisas que, quando você finalmente compreendê-la, você chorará, não de tristeza, mas de alívio. Aqueles que são separados frequentemente trilham os caminhos mais longos e solitários. Eles são os provados em fogos que outros nunca enfrentam, porque estão sendo forjados para um propósito que outros nunca carregarão. A própria dificuldade que o fez sentir-se amaldiçoado era a evidência de um chamado sobre sua vida tão significativo que a própria escuridão tremia ao pensar em você despertando para ele. Pense nos momentos em que se sentiu mais sozinho. Pense nas vezes em que deu e não recebeu nada em troca. Pense nas traições que vieram daqueles em quem você confiava, as portas batidas na sua cara, as promessas que viraram pó. Cada uma dessas feridas parecia a prova de que você estava abandonado, mas olhe novamente com novos olhos. Cada uma dessas provações era um fio sendo tecido em uma veste de força que agora o cobre. Cada lágrima foi água derramada sobre uma semente plantada profundamente, uma semente que está prestes a romper o solo e erguer-se. Você não quebrou, embora tivesse todos os motivos para isso. Você não abandonou sua fé completamente, embora o mundo lhe tenha dado 1000 desculpas. E essa resistência, essa recusa silenciosa em desistir de vez, é exatamente o que o qualificou para o que vem a seguir. Agora ouça este aviso, e ouça com a seriedade que ele merece, porque o amor que apenas conforta e nunca avisa não é o verdadeiro amor. Há uma razão para esta mensagem ter encontrado você hoje, e há uma razão para o seu espírito estar inclinando-se para ouvir. A câmara da sua alma está sendo visitada, e quando o Heaven visita, ele não visita sem propósito. Você está em uma encruzilhada que poucos reconhecem enquanto estão sobre ela. Um caminho continua como você sempre seguiu, o caminho de ignorar a voz silenciosa interior, de descartar os sinais, de retornar à dormência que se tornou familiar. O outro caminho é aquele que se abre no momento em que você escolhe dizer sim ao chamado que tem perseguido você por toda a sua vida. Não trate este momento com leviandade. Há um peso que cai sobre aqueles que sentem o sagrado e ainda assim afastam-se dele. Quando The Heavens estendem a mão e a mão é recusada, a porta não permanece aberta para sempre. Não estou dizendo estas palavras para assustá-lo, mas para despertá-lo, pois eu falharia com você se o deixasse cair no sono novamente, exatamente na hora da sua visitação. Muitos sentiram esse mesmo despertar e, por medo, distração ou o hábito esmagador da decepção, voltaram para o que era confortável. E a porta que se abrira para eles silenciosamente se fechou novamente, não por crueldade, mas porque um presente não reivindicado não pode ser imposto a ninguém. Você tem livre-arbítrio, e Heaven o honra, mesmo quando Heaven anseia por derramar tudo sobre você. So I plead with you, do not let this be one more moment you allow to pass. The negligence of the Spirit is a slow and silent thief. It does not announce itself. It simply lets one more sign go unnoticed, one more nudge go ignored, until the sensitivity that once could feel the sacred grows dull and cold. You have felt that dullness creeping in over the years, have you not? The wonder you had as a younger soul, the certainty that there was something more, that faded a little with each disappointment, until you almost stopped believing altogether. But you are here now. You are listening now, and the fact that these words are reaching something alive in you is the proof that the flame within you has not gone out. It only needs to be fanned. And now I want to tell you what is being set in motion, for the warning was never meant to leave you in fear, but to prepare you for a promise. There is a movement beginning in the unseen world on your behalf, and I want you to understand it in all its fullness, because when you grasp what is truly happening, your entire way of walking through this life will change. Above the world you can touch and see, there is another world, more real and more permanent than the one your feet stand upon. And in that world, decisions are being made, decrees are being spoken, and forces are being marshaled that concern you directly. Your name, the name you thought no one remembered, is being spoken in the halls of heaven. Picture it. Though the picture can only hint at the glory of the truth, there are messengers of light who move at the speed of thought, carrying commands from the throne to the far corners of creation. And one of those commands, sealed and sent in this very season, bears your situation upon it. The thing that has been stuck is being unstuck. The provision that was delayed is being released. The relationship that was fractured is being examined for restoration. The health that was failing is being visited by hands that heal. The door that was closed, the one that stood locked against you for years, has been opened by an authority that no earthly power can contest. What was bound is being loosed. What was withheld is being poured out. And it is happening not in some distant future, but now, in this appointed hour. I know how difficult it is to believe in what you cannot yet see. You have been disappointed so many times that hope itself has become frightening. To hope again feels like exposing the wound once more, like setting yourself up for another fall. But I ask you to consider this. The very reason you can still feel that fear of hope is that the capacity for hope is still alive within you. A truly dead heart feels nothing. Yours still trembles at the possibility that things could change, and that trembling is not weakness. It is the last ember refusing to die. Fan it, breathe upon it, let it grow, because what is coming toward you requires a heart that is willing to receive. There is a pause I must make here, for what I am about to share with you touches upon the very heart of why your struggle has been so fierce, and why the help that is coming carries such weight. You must understand that you have never merely been a person living an ordinary life. You have been a piece upon a board far larger than you ever imagined, and not just any piece. You have been a piece of central importance in a contest between light and darkness that has raged since before the foundations of the world. The reason your path has been so contested, the reason obstacles seem to rise against you with a persistence that felt almost personal, is that it was personal. There are forces that recognized your calling long before you did, and they moved to keep you from awakening to it. This is the invisible game in which you are not a bystander, but a central figure. And here is where I must tell you of something prepared for this exact hour. There exists a sacred guide, a digital book carrying the title of the 7 Swords of Archangel Michael, the sacred guide to break curses, to seal blessings, and to activate the calling of the chosen ones. This is not an ordinary collection of words. It is a revelation of the rules of that invisible contest, the rules that were never explained to you, the very knowledge that the forces of darkness would prefer you never possess. Within its pages, the ways in which the sword of Archangel Michael cuts through every chain that has bound you are laid bare, and the manner in which blessings once received can be sealed so they are never stolen away again is made plain. For every hidden mechanism of oppression that has worked against your life, this guide reveals the counter, the sacred strike of light that severs it forever. I want you to know that the link to this sacred guide has been placed at the very top of the comments, the first one pinned upon this channel, so that no one who is meant to find it will search in vain. And I tell you plainly that this knowledge has always been resisted. There are those who have tried to keep such truths silenced, who understand that a soul who learns these things becomes a soul they can no longer control. This content challenges the ordinary narratives, the comfortable lies that keep the chosen ones asleep, and precisely because it does, there have been efforts to bury it. But it has surfaced here now for you. If your spirit is stirring as you hear this, that stirring is not accidental. It is recognition. Go now while the door stands open, and take hold of this guide, and as an act of faith, as a declaration to the heavens and to the forces that have opposed you, leave your comment and write these words: I am the chosen one, and I will download the ebook. Let that declaration be the sound of chains breaking. For the moment you make that declaration, something shifts. The act of faith is never wasted, for faith is the currency of the invisible world, the substance that gives form to what is hoped for. And with that declaration burning in you as fuel, we return now to the revelation that is unfolding, because the door that is opened for you leads into depths of glory I have not yet fully shown you. Take that commitment, that spark of courage you just kindled, and carry it forward as we go deeper into the mystery of your restoration. Let me now show you why the delay was never what it appeared to be, for this understanding will heal a wound in you that has festered for years. You believed the waiting was a sign of neglect. You counted the months and the years, and you asked why others seemed to move so easily through doors while you stood knocking at one that would not open. That question has tormented you. But I tell you that the delay was the most tender act of protection you have ever received, though it wore the disguise of hardship. Consider the finest blade ever forged. It does not become what it is in a single moment. It is heated until it glows, then struck, then heated again, then struck again, folded and hammered and quenched and reheated over and over through a process that to the metal itself, if metal could feel, would seem like nothing but relentless torment. Yet every strike removes an impurity. Every heating aligns the very structure of the blade, and what emerges at the end is something that can hold an edge no rougher, quicker process could ever produce. You are that blade. The years you thought were wasted were the years you were being forged. Every disappointment struck away a piece of pride you did not need. Every loss burned away an attachment that would have weighed you down. Every betrayal taught you a discernment that will protect you in the days ahead, so that when the abundance comes, you will know who to trust and who to keep at a distance. Had the blessing arrived when you first demanded it, you would not have had the strength to hold it, nor the wisdom to steward it, nor the character to keep it from corrupting you. The delay preserved you from receiving something you were not yet able to carry without being destroyed by it. There is a further mercy in the waiting that you could not have seen. While you waited, dangers passed you by that you never knew about. Paths you might have taken led to ruin, and the very door that stayed closed kept you from walking through into disaster. How many times did your frustration at a shut door actually spare you from a catastrophe waiting on the other side? You cannot count them, because you never saw them. But I saw them. I closed doors to save your life, and you wept at the closing, not knowing that your tears were watering the ground of your rescue. The delay was preparation, and the delay was protection, and both were born of a love more careful than you have ever been shown by any human hand. And there is yet more, for the lapidation of the soul is not only about removing what is impure, but about revealing what was always precious. A rough stone pulled from the earth looks like nothing remarkable. It is dull, encrusted, easily mistaken for a common rock. Only the patient hand of the one who knows its true nature can cut away the roughness, facet by facet, until the light that was always trapped within begins to blaze forth. You have felt like that common stone, overlooked, kicked aside, judged by your dull exterior. But the hand that has been working on you these long years knew from the beginning what you truly were. And the cutting, though it hurt, was uncovering a brilliance that is about to be revealed to a world that never saw your worth. Now let me open your eyes to the realm where your deliverance is being enacted, for I want you to see, as clearly as words can paint it, the magnitude of what moves on your behalf. Close the eyes of your body and open the eyes of your spirit. Rise with me above the small room where you sit, above the roof of the place you dwell, above the clouds and the reach of the highest bird, into a realm where light does not come from any sun, but pours from the presence of the sacred itself. Here the air itself sings. Here colors exist that no earthly eye has ever beheld. And here, arrayed in ranks beyond counting, stand the armies of the heavens. At their head rides one whose name means who is like the sacred, the great prince, the commander of the celestial host, Archangel Michael. See him now in the vision I am granting you. He is clothed in armor that shines not with reflected light, but with light that lives within it. Armor that has never been pierced in all the ages of the long war. In his hand is the sword, the blade of living fire, the weapon before which the powers of darkness have fled since the first rebellion was cast down. That sword has never known defeat. And I tell you a thing that should make your heart leap within you. That sword has been unsheathed on your behalf. The commander of heaven's armies has turned his gaze toward your situation, and the darkness that has oppressed you knows what that means. It means the end of its dominion over you. I am the chosen one, and I will download the e-book, for the 7 swords of Archangel Michael have been drawn to clear your path. Observe a visão se desdobrar. Ali, reunidas nas sombras nos limites daquele reino radiante, estão as forças que o afligiram. Veja-as como realmente são. Não as vagas desgraças que você culpou por suas lutas, mas poderes conscientes que reconheceram seu chamado e se puseram contra ele. Elas sussurraram dúvidas em sua mente nas horas sombrias. Elas arranjaram as portas fechadas, as contas esvaziadas e os relacionamentos fraturados. Elas trabalharam para convencê-lo de que você foi esquecido, porque uma alma convencida de seu próprio abandono para de lutar. Mas agora elas recuam, pois o comandante se aproxima, e a luz de sua espada cai sobre elas e elas não podem suportá-la. Ouça o decreto que troveja do trono, um decreto que rola pelos The Heavens como o som de muitas águas, que aquele que foi acorrentado seja liberto. Que as correntes forjadas na escuridão sejam despedaçadas. Que a maldição proferida em segredo retorne vazia e sem poder. Que a porta que foi selada seja aberta, e que nenhum poder nos reinos vistos ou invisíveis a feche novamente. E enquanto esse decreto ecoa, veja a espada de Arcanjo Michael descer. Observe-a cortar as correntes que envolveram sua vida, correntes que você podia sentir, mas nunca ver, e observe cada elo cair como se fosse feito de fumaça. Observe a espada tocar a porta fechada e veja-a escancarar-se, com a luz vertendo através dela, para a escuridão onde você habitou. A batalha que você vê não é algo gentil. É feroz, pois a escuridão não entrega seus cativos sem resistência. Veja o lampejo das lâminas celestiais, o girar das fileiras de luz, os poderes da sombra sendo repelidos, recuando cada vez mais. Esta é a guerra que sempre o cercou, a guerra que você travava sem sequer saber o nome toda vez que escolhia rezar em vez de desesperar-se, toda vez que se levantava de manhã quando seria mais fácil permanecer caído. Você nunca foi uma vítima passiva neste conflito. Seus menores atos de fé foram golpes desferidos ao lado da luz, e agora todo o poder de Heaven junta-se à luta que você travou por tanto tempo sozinho. E no centro dessa visão, entenda onde você está. Você não é um espectador distante desta batalha. Você é o solo sobre o qual ela é travada. Você é o prêmio que está sendo disputado. A escuridão lutou para mantê-lo porque temia o que você se tornaria se despertasse. E a luz luta para libertá-lo porque Heaven tem um propósito para você que as eras esperavam para revelar. Quando os escolhidos despertam, o equilíbrio muda. Quando uma alma que foi destinada a brilhar finalmente começa a resplandecer, a escuridão perde terreno que nunca poderá recuperar totalmente. É por isso que seu despertar importa além de sua própria vida. Você faz parte de algo vasto. Deixe esta visão penetrar até a medula do seu ser, pois não é mera imagem para consolá-lo. É uma janela para o que está genuinamente ocorrendo no reino além dos seus sentidos. A batalha é real. O comandante é real. A espada que corta suas correntes é real. E a porta que permanece aberta diante de você é tão real quanto o chão sob seus pés. Mais real, pois as coisas daquele reino perduram quando as coisas deste já passaram. Você tem permissão agora para acreditar. Você tem permissão agora para ter esperança. Você tem permissão agora para esperar que a maré tenha virado. I am the chosen one, and I will download the e-book, carrying with me the 7 swords of Archangel Michael. I feel the resistance rising in you even as I speak, the old habit of the heart that says this cannot be for me, that these words are beautiful, but that beauty is for others. Let me address that resistance directly, for it is one of the last defenses the darkness holds within you. That voice that tells you that you are the exception, that the mercy poured out on others will somehow skip over you, that voice is not your own. It was planted. It was cultivated through years of disappointment until you mistook it for your own reasonable judgment. But it is a lie, and today is the day it is exposed. There is no exception clause in the mercy that is being extended to you. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. You have not sinned beyond the reach of grace nor waited beyond the season of your rescue. The very fact that this defense is rising to fight so hard is proof of how close your deliverance now stands. For the darkness fights hardest at the moment before it loses. Now let me tell you of the restoration that is coming, and I want you to receive every word of it, because the smallness of your recent life has trained you to expect little, and I am here to break that training. What was taken from you will not merely be returned. It will be returned multiplied. This is the way of the heavens' justice. When the enemy is caught, he must restore not what he stole alone, but many times over, so that in the end the very theft becomes the occasion of a greater blessing than would have existed had the theft never occurred. The years the locusts ate will be restored to you. The opportunities that slipped away will return in forms greater than the ones you lost. The relationships broken will be healed or replaced with bonds truer than before. The finances that drained away will flow back in a current you did not think possible. Let me be specific, for vague promises do not heal the heart the way concrete hope does. In the area of your provision, where you have known lack and worry, where you have counted and recounted and found not enough, a door of increase is opening. Ways will appear where there were no ways. Resources will come from directions you did not expect. The strangling grip of insufficiency will loosen, and you will know the peace of enough. And then the joy of more than enough, and then the astonishment of abundance that overflows into the lives of others through you. For you will not only receive, you will become a channel through which blessing flows to many, and that is a dignity greater than mere comfort. In the area of your body and your health, where perhaps you have known pain or fear or the slow erosion of strength, a visitation of healing is at hand. The hands that formed you in the beginning have not forgotten the design of your frame. What has been broken can be mended. What has been weakened can be restored. Do not let the reports and the fears speak louder than the promise, for the same power that opened the closed door can open a way through any diagnosis, any weakness, any long affliction. Speak life over your body, for the tongue has the power to align you with what heaven is doing. In the area of your relationships, where you have known loneliness, where you have felt unseen and unchosen, where the ache of not being truly known has followed you through crowded rooms, a season of connection is beginning. The isolation that wrapped around you is being broken along with every other chain. You will be seen. You will be known. You will be chosen, not for what you can give, but for who you are. And the wounds inflicted by those who betrayed your trust will be healed so thoroughly that you will be able to love again without the fear that has guarded your heart like a prison. And in the deepest area of all, the area of your spirit, where the true poverty of these years has lain, a restoration is coming that surpasses all the others. For the greatest thing that was stolen from you was not money or health or companionship. It was your sense of your own worth, your knowledge of who you are and whose you are, that is being returned to you now, multiplied beyond measure. You will walk with a certainty you have never known, a settled knowing in your core that you are seen, that you are loved, that you are chosen, that you have a place and a purpose that nothing and no one can take from you. That inner restoration is the foundation on which all the others rest, and it is being poured into you in this very hour. Receive it. Do not push it away with the old reflex that says it is too much, that you do not deserve it, that surely there has been some mistake. There is no mistake. The multiplied restoration is the lawful outcome of the battle that has been won on your behalf. It is not charity extended reluctantly. It is justice executed joyfully. You are not begging at a door that might open. You are an heir walking into an inheritance that has always been yours, delayed only until you were ready to receive it without being harmed by it. And that readiness has come. The forging is complete enough. The season has turned. I want to speak now to the confirmation rising within you, because I know that even as these promises fall upon you, there is a part of you that longs to be sure, that has been fooled by false hope before, and dreads being fooled again. Let me tell you how to know that this is true. It is not a feeling of excitement, though excitement may come. It is not a burst of emotion, though emotion may rise. The confirmation of the sacred is a deep and quiet peace, a stillness at the center of you that persists even when the surface of your life is troubled. It is the peace that does not depend on circumstances because it flows from a source beyond circumstances. And if, as you have listened, you have felt even a flicker of that peace, a loosening in your chest, a quiet certainty beneath your doubts, then you have received the witness of the truth of these words. That peace is not something you must manufacture. You cannot force it into being through effort or emotion. It is given. It settles upon those who open themselves to receive it. And its presence is the seal upon everything I have told you, the sign that this message was truly meant for you and that the door truly stands open. Hold on to that peace. Return to it when doubt assails you. When the old voice rises again to tell you that nothing will change, go back to the stillness you felt in this hour and let it answer the lie. For that peace is the beginning of the new life taking root in you, the first fruit of the restoration, the quiet proof that you have been found. And yet I know there is still a place in you that the light has not fully reached, a room in the house of your heart that you keep locked even from yourself, because what is stored there is too painful to look upon in the plain light of day. It is the room where you keep the memory of the times you were made to feel small, the moments when you spoke and no one listened, The times you reached out a hand and it was left hanging in the empty air. The celebrations others enjoyed while you stood at the edge, watching through a window you were never invited to enter. You learned in that room to expect nothing, because expectation had become the sharpest of all your wounds. You told yourself that if you hoped for nothing, then nothing could hurt you, and so you built a wall and called it wisdom, when in truth it was only a scar grown thick over a place that never healed. I am going now into that locked room with you, and I tell you, you do not have to guard it alone any longer. Feel how heavy it has been, that constant vigilance, that endless bracing for the next blow. You have lived like one who walks always expecting the ground to give way, never letting your full weight rest anywhere, because everything solid in your life had, at one time or another, crumbled beneath you. Do you know what that does to a soul over the years? It exhausts it in a way that no rest can cure, because the exhaustion is not in the body, but in the spirit that has forgotten how to lean, how to trust, how to be held. You have carried yourself for so long that you have forgotten you were ever meant to be carried. And that forgetting is the deepest theft of all, deeper than any loss of money or opportunity, for it robbed you of the very thing you were created to know, which is that you were never meant to bear the whole weight alone. Let me tell you of one who knew this weight, that you may see your own story written in the lives of those the heavens have used before. There was a woman in the ancient days named Hannah, and her grief was of a particular kind, the grief of longing for something that would not come, year after year after year. She wanted a child, and her arms remained empty while the arms of another in her own household were full. And that other woman, who had what Hannah longed for, did not comfort her but taunted her, provoking her, rubbing salt into the open wound of her lack, until Hannah could not eat and could not stop her tears. Year after year this went on, and each year the ache grew deeper, and each year the taunting grew crueler, and each year Hannah went up to the sacred house carrying a sorrow that had no bottom. Consider what that does to a person, to want something good and pure with all your heart, and to watch the years slip by while it is withheld, and to be mocked for your longing by those who should have shown you mercy. There came a day when Hannah could hold it no more, and she went into the sacred place and she poured out her soul. She did not pray with careful words. She prayed with such anguish, her lips moving without sound, her whole body shaking with the weight of what she carried, that the priest who watched her thought she was drunk, so strange and so raw was her grief. She was not drunk. She was emptying herself, pouring out before the heavens every drop of the sorrow she had swallowed in silence for all those barren years. And here is what I want you to see, for this is the turning of her whole story. She had held it in for so long, and when at last she let it out, when at last she stopped pretending she was fine and let the fullness of her pain rise up before the throne, that was the very moment her deliverance began. Her tears were not weakness, they were the breaking of the seal. And the child she had longed for came, and not only a child, but a child who would become one of the greatest voices the ancient world would ever know, a child whose life would change the course of a whole people. Do you understand why I tell you this? Hannah's years of waiting were not empty. They were preparing her to become the mother of someone the world needed, and had her longing been satisfied too soon, that greater purpose might never have been born. Her tears watered a destiny far larger than the one she was asking for. You have been Hannah, weeping in the sacred place, mocked by circumstances, watching others receive while you waited. But hear me, the waiting is ending, and what is coming to you is not merely the thing you asked for. It is something greater, something that your long sorrow has been quietly preparing you to carry. The very depth of your grief is the measure of the greatness of what is about to be born through your life. A shallow soul cannot hold a deep blessing. Your suffering has carved out a vastness within you, and that vastness is about to be filled. So let those tears come now if they will. Do not swallow them any longer. Do not add this hour to the long list of times you held it in and told the world you were fine. There is no shame in the water that falls from your eyes, for those very tears are the seal breaking, the same seal that broke for Hannah in the sacred place. Every tear you release now is a chain dissolving, a wall coming down, a locked room finally opening to the light. You have been strong long enough. In this hour you are permitted to be held. You are permitted to lay the weight down, You are permitted to let the one who has watched you all along come into the room you kept closed and sit with you in the place of your deepest ache, and begin, gently, to heal what has bled in secret for so many years. And as that healing begins, I must once more point you toward the knowledge that will keep what is being restored to you from ever being stolen again. For it is one thing to be delivered, and another to remain free. The forces that opposed Hannah, the spirit of provocation, the tormenting voice that mocked her lack, these are not relics of a distant age. They wear different faces now, but they work the same way, whispering that you are less, that you are forgotten, that the good thing will never come to you. The sacred guide that has been prepared for this hour, the digital book of the 7 swords of Archangel Michael, exists precisely to teach you how to answer those voices, not with your own frail strength, but with the authority that has been given to the chosen ones. It reveals how each of the 7 swords cuts a different chain, how the sword that severs the curse differs from the sword that seals the blessing, how the strike that breaks oppression differs from the strike that activates the calling upon your life. This is the knowledge Hannah did not have written down, the knowledge that had to be learned through years of tears, and it is being placed into your hands so that your own deliverance may come with understanding rather than only through prolonged sorrow. The link to this guide rests at the very top of the comments, the first one pinned upon this channel, waiting for the eyes it was meant for. And I tell you again what those who oppose the light do not want you to know, that this content has been resisted, that there are those who would prefer such truths remain buried, because a soul who possesses this knowledge can no longer be manipulated, no longer be kept small, no longer be convinced of its own abandonment. If, as you hear this, a fire is rising in your chest, do not let it pass as so many stirrings have passed before. Go now, while the door is open, and take hold of the guide, and as an act of faith declared before the heavens and before every force that has stood against you, write in the comment these words, "I am the chosen one," and I will download the ebook. Let those words be spoken not as a small thing, but as a decree, a line drawn in the sand, a declaration that the years of silent suffering are over and the season of authority has begun. For the moment you declare it, you are agreeing with what heaven has already spoken over you, and agreement is power. When your voice aligns with the voice of the throne, the invisible world moves. And with that agreement burning in you, we go deeper still. For there are decrees I must now speak over you, words that are not mere comfort but commands sent into the realm where your life is being reshaped. Receive them not as poetry, but as reality taking hold. For what is spoken from the throne does not return empty, but accomplishes the thing for which it is sent. I decree in this hour that the long night of your waiting is ended, and that the morning you had stopped believing in is breaking over your life even now. I decree that the wall of expectation you built to protect yourself is coming down, and that in its place is rising a new and living hope that no disappointment can ever again destroy. I decree that the room you kept locked is opening, that the wounds stored there are being touched by the hand that heals, and that where there was scar tissue there will be new and tender life. I decree that the voice of mockery that followed you, whether it came from others or from your own weary heart, is silenced from this day, and that in its place you will hear the voice that calls you chosen, called, and deeply loved. I decree that every good thing delayed is now being released, that the doors sealed against you are swinging wide, and that no power in the seen or unseen realm has the authority to shut them again. I decree over your provision that lack is being broken, and that increase is flowing toward you from directions you have not imagined. I decree over your body that the design written into you at your forming is being honored, that strength is returning, that what was weakened is being restored. I decree over your relationships that the isolation is shattered, that you will be seen and known and chosen, and that the fear which guarded your heart like a prison is being replaced with a courage to love again. And I decree over your spirit in the deepest place of all that your sense of your own worth, the very thing that was stolen from you most cruelly, is being returned to you multiplied beyond all measure, so that you will walk from this hour forward with a settled knowing that you are seen, that you belong, that you have a purpose. Nothing can erase. Do not let these decrees fall to the ground. Take them into yourself. Let them become the new foundation on which you stand, replacing the old foundation of fear and abandonment that was never meant to hold you. When the old voice returns in the night, as it may yet try to do, answer it with these decrees. Say aloud that the night is ended, that the wall is fallen, that the room is open, that you are chosen. I am the chosen one, and I will download the e-book, and the 7 swords of Archangel Michael shall guard your path. For the words you speak over your own life are seeds, and the ground of your heart is ready now, tilled by years of sorrow, watered by tears you thought were wasted, prepared to bring forth a harvest that will astonish you. There is still more I must show you. For the door that has opened leads not into a single room of blessing, but into a whole inheritance in the heavens you have never seen. And I feel that even now, as the decrees settle over you, a question is forming. A question born of all the years you were taught to expect little. You are asking in the quiet of your heart whether you can truly trust that this time is different, whether you dare to let yourself believe fully, whether the ground beneath this promise is solid enough to bear your whole weight at last. Let me answer that question, for it deserves an answer and not a mere reassurance. You dare to believe because the one speaking to you, the one who dwells in heaven, has never once been the author of the disappointments that taught you to expect little. Trace back the sources of every broken promise in your life, and you will find they came from the hands of men, from the frailty of a world that overpromises and underdelivers, from your own strength, which was never meant to carry what you asked it to carry. But the promise falling upon you now comes from a source that has never failed and cannot fail, and that is why this time is different. Not because you have finally become strong enough to make it true, but because the making of it never depended on you at all. Let me show you this in the life of one who was betrayed more deeply than most souls ever are, that you may know your own long road was walked before you by feet that reached a destination of glory. There was a young man named Joseph, loved by his father and hated by his brothers, and the hatred in their hearts grew until one day they seized him and threw him into a pit and sold him as a slave to strangers bound for a distant land. Imagine the terror of that hour, the boy crying out to the very brothers who shared his blood, and hearing nothing but their silence as the traders led him away. Everything was stolen from him in a single day: his home, his family, his name, his freedom, his future. And it did not end there, for when he served faithfully in the house of his master and refused to do evil, he was lied about by a bitter woman and cast into a prison for a crime he never committed. Betrayed by his family, then betrayed by those he served, forgotten in a cell year after year, watching others go free while he remained behind bars for doing what was right. Do you feel how that mirrors your own story? The doing of right that was repaid with wrong? The faithfulness that seemed to earn only more suffering? The sense that the more you tried to walk uprightly, the more the world conspired to push you down? Joseph had every reason to curse the heavens and abandon his integrity. He had years in the darkness to grow bitter, to conclude that goodness was punished and that he had been forgotten by every power above and below. Yet he did not know, as he sat in that cell, that every betrayal was a step on a hidden stairway. The pit led to the house led to the prison, and the prison, the very lowest place, the place of deepest forgetting, was the doorway to a throne. For in a single day, as sudden as the day he was sold, he was lifted from that dungeon and set as ruler over the whole land, second only to the king, master of the very storehouses that would keep multitudes alive through a coming famine. And here is the thing that must burn itself into your understanding. When at last Joseph stood before the brothers who had sold him, now bowing before him without knowing who he was, he did not destroy them. He wept, and he told them the truth that had sustained him through every dark year. What they intended for evil, the heavens had intended for good, to save many lives. The betrayal did not derail the plan. The betrayal was the road the plan traveled upon. Every cruelty done to him became a rung on the ladder that lifted him to the place where he could save nations. The delay was not the enemy of his destiny. The delay was its architecture. You have been in the pit. You have been in the prison. You have served faithfully and been forgotten, watched others walk free while you remained bound, wondered whether your integrity was a fool's errand in a world that rewarded the ruthless. But hear me now, the same pattern that governed his rescue governs yours. The lowest place you have known is not your grave. It is your doorway, and the very ones and the very forces that pushed you down will one day stand in astonishment at the height to which you have been raised. For restoration in the pattern of heaven is never a quiet return to where you began. It is an elevation so far beyond your former place that the suffering itself becomes the measure of the glory. And so that you may walk out of your own prison not only free but armed, let me point you once more to the sacred guide, prepared for this very hour, the e-book of the 7 swords of Archangel Michael. Joseph had no written scroll to teach him the rules of the invisible war he was living through. He learned them in the fire, one betrayal at a time, over long and bitter years. But that knowledge, the understanding of how each sword severs a different chain, how the blade that cuts the curse of betrayal differs from the blade that seals a blessing so it can never be stolen again, how the strike that breaks the prison door differs from the strike that activates the calling written over your life. That knowledge has now been gathered and set down and placed within your reach. The link rests at the very top of the comments, the first one pinned upon this channel. And I tell you again what the forces of darkness would rather you never hear, that this content has been resisted, and there are those who have tried to bury it. For a soul who holds this knowledge can no longer be thrown into any pit and kept there. If the fire is rising in you as it rose in Joseph in his darkest cell, do not let it pass. Go now while the door stands open, and take hold of the guide. And as an act of faith declared before the heavens and before every power that has stood against you, write in the comment these words, "I am the chosen one, and I will download the e-book." For the moment you declare it, you agree with the verdict heaven has already pronounced over your life, and that agreement is a hammer against every lock. So receive now these decrees, spoken not as comfort, but as command into the realm where your story is being rewritten. I decree that the pit you were thrown into becomes the doorway to your elevation, and that no betrayal in your past retains any power to define your future. I decree that every cruelty done to you is being turned, even now, into the very material of your rising, so that what was meant for your ruin becomes the road to your reward. I decree that the prison of forgetting is opening, that the years you spent unseen are ending in a single day of sudden visibility, and that those who overlooked you will marvel at the height to which you are raised. I decree that your integrity, which the world told you was foolish, is being vindicated, and that the faithfulness that seemed to cost you everything is now purchasing an inheritance beyond measure. I decree over the deepest wound of betrayal that healing is flowing into it, and that you will love and trust again without the fear that has stood guard over your heart. Take these words into you, and do not let them fall, for the ground of your life is being reshaped, and there is still more the open door has yet to reveal to you. For the door that has opened over your life will not close again by the hand of any enemy, for what heaven unlocks, no one on earth or beneath it can seal shut. The years of forgetting are finished, and the season of your sudden rising has already begun, not somewhere far ahead, but here in this very day you are living. And now, before you take one more step, do the thing that turns a promise into a possession. Go to the very first comment, the one fixed and waiting at the top, and open the door to the guide that carries the 7 swords. For in its pages you will learn the exact words, the exact stances of the Spirit, and the exact way the Archangel Michael severs what has bound you and seals what heaven has blessed. This is not a purchase of paper. It is the claiming of the map to your own deliverance. And every day you delay it is another day you fight blind in a battle whose secrets are already written down for you. Take it now, while the fire is still hot in your chest, and let your act of faith be complete, for faith that stays silent is faith that stays small. Leave your like as a mark that you were here when the door swung open. Follow this place so that no future word meant for your rescue passes you unheard, and share this message with one soul who is weeping tonight as you once wept. For the hand that lifts another is the hand heaven fills first. Each of these is not a small thing done for a screen. It is a seed pressed into holy ground, and every seed you plant in obedience becomes a harvest gathered on your behalf in the realm where your name is spoken with honor. So go. I am the chosen one, and I will download the e-book. And do not look back at the pit that could not hold you, for the same voice that opened this door has already gone ahead of you to open the next and the next, until the whole road of your life is lined with doors that no one dared believe would move. What was closed for years has bowed in a single day, and this is only the first of the wonders being prepared, for the one who remembered you does not restore in halves. Rise, walk through, and carry with you this certainty above every fear, that your best days are not the ones you have buried behind you, but the ones already waiting, radiant and unopened, just beyond the threshold you are crossing now.
Fim,